Just create what you like and what you enjoy. Don't worry about what the world is going to think or if it is perfect. Because the more you create, the more you evolve as an artist. Just like when you listen to a song, when you're in a good mood, you tend to listen to the music. Just create what Just create what you like and what you enjoy. Don't worry about what the world is going to think or if it is perfect. Because the more you create, the more you evolve as an artist. Just like when you listen to a song, when you're in a good mood, you tend to listen to the music. But when you're in a sad mood, you tend to emphasize or listen more to the lyrics. Similarly, your art will be interpreted in many ways depending on the viewer's mood and the mind. So, don't worry about perfection, don't worry about how it will be perceived. Just go out there and create.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. He's getting ready right now. And today we are going to be shooting Power Star Puneet.
Photo session is nothing but capturing moments, capturing few expressions, capturing something which actually is an effort because it's not candid. With Mayur, I think we have always felt very candid even though it is a photo session happening, and he's quick at capturing, and that's one thing I like, because when a photographer is quick enough to take that one fraction of a second expression what you've given, I think that's what gets you the best. Holding on to a genuine is very difficult, and he always captures that, and that's the experience I've always had with him. One thing is I have a color to my life, like there's a subtlety to my life, and he likes that too, and that's why I think we gel well, work well. I like working with him, and I think we'll have a lot more, hopefully, God's grace, and I wish the entire team all the very best, and you guys are fantastic, and I like the way Mayur talks about his entire team even in their absence. I think that's what makes him the good human he is. So all the best to all of you.
So, am I audible here? Do you want to just check if the voice, if people online are able to hear? All right. A very good evening. I'm not the kind of guy to stand behind a podium and talk, so I shall be walking around. So if you can just play the presentation. Okay, so thanks for that lovely introduction and that lovely video. It actually brings back memories, and for me it feels good, to see what I've already seen a million times, but it always feels good. How many of you have watched Three Idiots, the movie? Brilliant. And how many of you know the character Madhavan, the actor, right? So I would say I'm the original Madhavan. Only difference is, in the movie, Madhavan realizes his dream to be a photographer at a very early age of 20 to 23 when he was leaving college. Well, I'm slightly evolved. I realized that I want to pursue this career as a photographer at the age of 34, right? So I was very late in one sense. That's what people thought. But I will not discount the life before that. Okay? So I'll quickly tell you what I do first. So I run a production house called AGNA, which is into photography, films, animation, and design. And we are a 14-year-old organization. We work with, and my journey as a photographer started in the year 2004 with a old Yashica camera. I was what you call an accidental photographer. I never wanted to be a photographer. I was never artistic. I was never musically inclined. I was never creative. In fact, a small trivia, any of you have taken up the drawing exams? Any of you are in the process of taking drawing exams? A few, right? Yeah, so even I took the drawing exam, and actually Swamiji's at that point were scared that I'll fail the drawing exam. I was that bad. I tried my hand at every possible musical instrument that was taught at Vidyashala. And after 2 days, I gave up. I was never inclined. I was never creative. But something happened in 2004. My grandparents, as you can see in the photograph, my grandfather found his old Yashica camera, which he had bought when he went to Germany. And on my grandmother's insistence, he gave the camera to me. Knowing nothing about photography at that point, it was pretty cool to have a camera. Number one, back then I was single. Whether I knew photography or not, just to hang the camera and walk around the city was pretty cool to meet up pretty girls. That was the intent. That's why I took up photography in the beginning. But things changed over a period of time. Something that I thought was very cool became a medium for me to express, right? So fast forward 2009, so while I started photography and I was learning in the process, in 2009, as you can see, I started my company called AGNA. Before that, I spent about 12, 13 years in the corporate world. I was working with companies like Infosys, General Motors. I did my MBA in international business in London. I worked with NHS. I came back. And then in 2009, I was given an opportunity to move to the US, right? Until that point, I had never realized that I wanted to pursue something different. And in 2009, I decided to take up photography as a full-time career. And that was my first office at home with my daughter. And 2023, the same place with both my daughters. And over a period of time, like I said, we are a photography media production house. You can keep clicking from there. And I have had a chance to work with some really big names like Sudeep, Raghu Dikshit, Sadhu Kokila, and the list goes on with a lot of celebrities, artists, and also some fantastic corporate giants. Now, during this phase, when I started photography, there were a lot of other photographers who decided to quit their jobs, and they were all getting into a certain line or a genre, which was basically, they were getting into wedding photography, right? Wedding photography is a big industry. So they were all getting into wedding photography, but I decided that I didn't want to do wedding photography. I wanted to use a skill set that I had, which was my corporate experience. And I decided to pursue the corporate line and bring my experience into the photography work that I do. And I've worked with editorials, you can pause, with musicians like Rahman. And then you can play. But there was something which is very different, that is, I decided to use my experience from the corporate world and bring that into my creative field, right? That is what It was during the time that when I was shooting musicians that I realized a close relationship between music and photography. The things that I tried to learn here and I gave up, I realized photography became a medium to express that particular art form. And I've got a chance to work with Jethro Tull, with Megadeth. How many of you have heard of Shivmani, the drummer? A.R. Rahman, right? And then it was such a beautiful experience, because when you meet these musicians, you get to see a different side. So, art is pointless, without passion. So what I told you till now is what I do, which is running a production house. But who is Mayur Channagere? Mayur is a storyteller. That is who I am. In your life, people will come and ask you, what do you do? Who, right? Or who are you? Our usual first answer is that I am a musician, I'm a techie, I'm a, architect. But that is not the identity. That is not who you are. That is what you do. So find a thing that you enjoy. And I enjoy telling stories. Over a period of time, I've had a chance to travel, meet people, document their lives, interact with a varied set of people with different attributes, different skill sets, different mindset, and connect with them, and these became my life lessons. So today, when I tell stories or when I write documentary videos, we try to bring in that little bit of personal experience into many of those stories. So I want to these are a few of the places that I visited in the remotest of areas in the world, thanks to photography. But at the same time, we've been told, we have a question, right? The science that we learn today, will it actually come in handy? What you see is some of the creative attempts to capture music. Can you guess what this is? Can you pause that? Okay, just go back. Go back. Okay, did you see the last picture? Can you guess what that is? Or even the last set of images? You're close. It is water. Some of the pictures, yes, paint, but what created that? Brilliant. Who said that? Sound vibrations. Please stand. Perfect. What you see here, you've heard of Beethoven, right? But what you see here is you're actually seeing Beethoven. Fantastic. So we actually managed to capture the signs, the vibrations, the sound vibrations. Sound vibrations. And it was not an easy task, right? I need to understand the science behind the waves. Something which I thought I'll never use in my life, what I studied, I realized much later that it actually comes in handy. So what you see here is actually that. If you see the previous slide, slightly. This is not digital art. This is actually a photograph of colors where my entire team was working with me in terms of throwing the color in a certain way, in a certain style, at a certain moment, and we managed to capture that. Go up. So this is actually holy powder being played, music being played, and actually managed to capture the vibrations again, right? So in a nutshell, I figured what I wanted to do in life at a very late stage, and it's, if someone tells you that you have to figure your life today, they're wrong. Let me tell you that. Something is going to happen, something is you're going to figure out, something will come along your way, and you'll realize that is what you want to do. So just keep following your heart, follow your passion, and just keep doing what you do, and do it with love. Thank you.
Dear students, what we'll do now is I'll be engaging with Mayur with a couple of questions so that we'll try to understand his journey from a very corporate kind of a setup to discovering his passion. So the question I would like to ask him is, first is, how can a person be successful? Because everybody wants to attain success, and the general trend here is engineering and medicine. So a person who was successful in the corporate ladder, being a part of a corporate system, and trying to rediscover his purpose, and trying to give it all up for something to pursue his dreams. How did it go about? I want to know, or we would like to know more about it. Yes, please.
Thank you, Swamiji. So, first thing when I tell people that I left my corporate job and decided to follow photography as a career, the first thing that I get asked is, oh, you must have hated your job, or you must have been bored. In all reality, that was not the fact. Let me answer this question in a slightly different way. When I was working in the corporate world, I was wealthy. I was earning very well, comfortable. I wouldn't say I was super rich, but I was comfortable. I had one of those rare opportunities to travel the world, interact with some of the best minds while I was working. I could walk into a CXO's office and say, hey, can we have a cup of coffee? But the thing was that I was wealthy, but I wanted to be rich. Rich in the sense, my job kind of defined my life. And I was missing out on simple joys of life, like spending time with my family, pursuing something that I like. I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. And I wanted my life to be richer. And what better way than to meet people and learn things which I was missing out on. So that was one of the reasons where I took. But the transition did not happen overnight, because it was carefully planned over a period of time. That at some point I knew that I wanted to exit the corporate life and do something on my own. I didn't know what it was, but we had planned. The first and foremost was to figure out what I wanted. Second important thing was getting the family along. See, when you are single, you don't have responsibilities. So first thing was to have a chat with the family, with my wife, with my parents. And we had a very simple rule. That is, okay, we're going to take this step. My parents were said that, okay, we'll support you, go ahead. I had the safety net. But one simple rule was that I'll give it 1 year. If I manage to match what I was drawing, then we continue. Else I go back to the corporate life. Second was that, so my last job was with Infosys. And on my last day, when I was handed over the ID card and I was walking out, I met Mr. Pai, Mohandas Pai. And I said, this is my last day, I'm moving out. And his first question was, weren't you happy with the offer? Why aren't you going to US? I said, no, this is what I want to do. And then he spent enough time with me asking all the tough questions that a VC would ask. What's your business plan? So I had a business plan. What is the financial plan? What's the go-to market? How much are you planning to invest? What is your return? So he had all the tough questions, and thankfully I had answers for all that. So it was carefully planned. It was not an overnight thing. And most importantly, while I was working, I also spent a lot of time upgrading myself. I used to shoot, maybe not commercially, but I would do commercial assignments. I would go out on the streets, get up at 5 in the morning. A guy who loves to sleep beyond 10 o'clock would get up at 5 in the morning. I would go to the markets to capture those moments. And I built a portfolio over a period of time. And the other thing that I did was, I took that portfolio to few of my mentors, my friends, and I showed them, saying, okay, this is my portfolio, like, I want to quit. I still remember a very close friend and a mentor who ripped my work. He ripped my work so badly that I did not touch the camera for 2 months. I was discouraged. He said, oh, this is rubbish. What do you think you're going to make money out of this, right? And I was so disheartened that I didn't touch the camera. I said, okay, forget photography, let me go back to my corporate work. Then I met him after 2 months for a cup of coffee, and he said, okay, so what's happening with your photography journey? I said, oh, what? I haven't touched my camera. I said, good. Now you know what is not working. Now you know where you're lacking. Now go and work on that. And that was the biggest lesson. And I spent the next 1 year improving on those skills. And then when I went back to him in 2009, when I showed him the portfolio and said, hey, Ryan, here is the work. He said, yeah, you're thereabouts. You're not there yet, but you're ready to take the jump, right? So it was that process of learning, finding the right mentors. Everyone will give you gyan, but find a mentor who's ready to walk the path with you. Like I had Mr. Pai, who was ready to help me and guide me through the business planning. Then I had people like Ryan who helped me through the journey as a photographer. So finding the right mentor makes all the difference. He can either make you or break you, right? So that's another thing. And most importantly, getting the family along, having them to trust and have that confidence that I can make it, right? Lastly, I want to say is power of mind. Power of mind is something which is phenomenal, which I have realized over a period of time. So I'll give you a very small anecdote. On my study, I had two stickies, one sticky and a poster. One sticky had the revenue target, which was my salary at that point. I said, if I hit that target, next to that was a picture of a bike. If I hit that target, I'm going to buy myself that bullet. And in 8 months, we hit the target. And I went and bought a bullet, which I used for probably, it sat in my compound for 1.5 years, fixing it, and I used it for maybe a few months, and then I sold it. But having the target right in front of you every day, manifesting that I'm going to hit the target, I'm going to get that bike, was another driving force. I hope that answers.
See, Mayur is traverses journey not as a professional photographer. That is what I have understood. He's more like a self-learner. So I would also like to ask him on behalf of all of you, what actually, the difference is, a subtle difference being a professional photographer and probably an amateurish kind of a photographer, self-learned photographer. What do you think, makes a person, or what makes one leave a mark in that industry?
A tough question. See, a photographer, or let's say a serious photographer, I wouldn't say professional. Professional professional photographer is someone who makes his living with it. But a serious photographer is someone who creates images, who makes images, who takes time and doesn't go cut. Someone who goes like, right now I can take a picture of the way you're sitting, I can just take a click. There's no life, there's no sense. It is just capturing a moment. There's no story to it. A serious storyteller would probably take that time. I call it the Zen of photography, which is 3 simple steps. First and foremost, whenever we go to a place and we want to take a picture, what is the first thing that I do? Is keep the camera away. I don't even take the camera out. I take my time to absorb what is around me. So right now, I'm talking to you. Swamiji is sitting to my right. The way he's sitting is something that I'm observing. Right? I'm looking at you and talking to you. I see that guy sleeping there. Okay? So that is the first step. Forget about taking the picture. Try to absorb what's around you. Right? Second step is close your eyes. The minute you close your eyes, the first image that comes to your mind is the image that has impacted you here. And third step is when the camera comes out and you take the picture. That is the thing. So that is the key difference between a snapper and a photographer.
I'll also like to open the questions to the audience. I think a lot of students will be willing to ask some questions regarding this field. Please. So we have, Ishan, you have to make it fast. So I think we have Bhuvan. Yeah, first question, please.
So my question is, what have you learned from your interaction?
Okay, so Bhuvan, first and foremost, what I've learned, very important lesson, is that when you add the word celebrity, they become distant. Remove celebrity. If I remove celebrity, Kicha Sudeep is Sudeep. Vidya Balan is Vidya Balan. They are people like you and me. So I'll give you an anecdote. So you saw the video that we played earlier of Kicha Sudeep talking about us, right? That was during our second or third shoot with him. But the first time when I met him, I was scared, I'll be very honest. I was nervous because he's Sudeep, right? He's a star, he's a celebrity. How do you break the ice? How do you go and interact with him? It took me 45 minutes to break the ice. And the way I did that was very simple. I knew what he likes. I did my research. I knew what he likes. He likes his coffee. He carries coffee around with him. And I love my coffee. So I saw a common connect. Then I knew he rides bikes. He has a Harley Davidson. I love my bikes. I have a Harley Davidson. So I figured out that there were two common subjects between us. And I started talking to him about that. And the minute I started talking to him, I realized that he's no different from me and you. And there was a hidden talent that not many people know. He's a brilliant photographer. He actually he's a very creative mind. And he's so sharp. Like I was saying, the zen of photography. So when he comes on a shoot, he's like, tick, 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 3 shots, 3 flashes of light, you're done, you got your shot, thanks. Right? So knowing the person that you're interacting with, first thing is remove that label of celebrity. Then what happens is that you're calmer, you're connecting with people. It's like walking down the street and meeting a street vendor and like, Chacha, khana khaya aaj, chai piya, right? You walk into a shop and you kind of interact with it. It's the same thing. That's one side of it. The second thing that I learned is that with every person, like I've had the privilege of working with Mr. Subrata Bakshi, who was the founder of Mindtree, who I treat him as a guru, as a mentor. I've learned so many things from him about how to run an organization. Right? Now, Mike Connor, who's again one of the leading tech founders of a tech company, he travels the world throughout, all through, like, he's in he's in India, he's in Sydney, he's in US, Europe. So I asked him, how do you take a break? What do you do to take a break? His answer was that every day, no matter what, I code. He might be running a company, multi-billion-dollar company, but even to this day he goes and codes. That taught me that I can't say, okay, I'm a celebrity photographer or I'm a great photographer, I'll stop learning. So you have to constantly learn. So these are a few things that I've picked over a period of time. I hope that answers.
I'll just interrupt the question session by sharing a couple of comments in the live YouTube thing. One is from a senior alumnus, Narendra. Narendra writes, he says, waiting for Mayur to inspire us with his journey. Journey is narrative. And we have Chetan Dodwad, a very senior alumnus. He's also a photographer. So probably I'll be inviting him maybe next academic year. He is very happy with this initiative. And there's a question by one of our students who was unable to make it today. He says, probably you can take that question later, but you can just keep it. He says that, sir, what do you think is the future of photography with the interpretation of AI? So I think probably to conclude remarks or something, you can also touch over this, because AI is a disruptive force here. So you also would like to know something more about it. So some questions, please, from the audience.
Good evening, sir. I'm Tejas from 8th standard.
Hi, Tejas.
Sir, I wanted to ask you, what were the problems that you faced during the period of transition when you went into the field of photography, or sir, building your own production house? Yes, sir.
Okay. The biggest challenge in the initial years was building the client base. right? It's very easy to say today I'm going to quit this and do something. It need not be photography, it could be anything. So the challenge of proving yourself in a complicated, crowded market. How do you differentiate yourself from the rest? That was the biggest challenge. Like I mentioned earlier, that at the time that I took up photography, wedding photography was something that everyone were doing. And I decided I will not do that. And I found a niche to my strength. Right. The second challenge as we grew was to build a team, which is very, very important. I'm 46, 47 now, right? I might not have the energy that I had 10 years back of jumping around and doing that. But I need a team that understands and supports my vision, and I need to support their vision. So building a reliable team. And I'll tell you, my strength today, when you look at when you go to visit our website or our social media handles, I'm just a poster boy. I'm the pretty smiling face. All the creativity that you see out there is done by my team. I'm just there to say, this is the vision, this is what I want, or this is how the video is going to pan out. This is how the story is going to come together. They make my crazy ideas a reality. So building a team that you trust is the second challenge. And touch wood, I'm very lucky to have a team that I have. We are 13 years old. Can you guess how big the team is?
Sir, as the team is, sir, as your production house is global currently, I think 400 plus.
We are 4 people.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
But hope to get there someday. Hope to get there someday. We are a team of 4, or team 4 to 5. Okay, few people come and go. The reason why I'm saying, asked you this question is, we are 4 crazy guys who are extremely passionate about what we create. And the third challenge, in continuation, is to take a call whether I want to be that 400 plus people global client organization, or stay a boutique niche that we are today. Today, I can decide if I like a project, if I'm passionate about something, we can say, yes, we'll do that. But the minute the size increases, you got to let go of your creative freedom. You got to let go of a lot of things. So are you ready to take that call? I am not sure I have an answer today. That is the answer that I'm still looking for. But yes, someday we want to grow. So building a team is another thing which is one of the biggest challenges.
Tejas, we'll move on to the next question, please. We'll give everybody a chance.
So I'm Panaga from 10th standard. My question is that if you were to start photography today as a street photographer.
Pannaga, I'll interrupt you. Please, you share your passion. You're also a photographer in your own right.
Yes,
Please share that.
I'm interested in bird photography. I do a bit of bird photography. My question is that which camera, which equipment would you recommend now in the present world for me, I would say, or who are starting?
So, Panaga, let me answer the questions in 2 sections. Okay, 1, which is the best camera? The best camera is the camera that you have. Simple. Okay? Now, depending on the genre and the area that you want to specialize in, there are various cameras. So, today, the mirrorless camera, I will not go into brands. Okay? I'll slightly come back to that later. But pick up a camera that you like, which is comfortable. So the mirrorless today, the technology has moved so much, right? Mirrorless is fast, sharp. It gives you the tracking. It gives you DSLR or LACT. So that would be the thing. But anyone, not just wildlife or birding, any photographer, anyone wants to pick up a camera, choosing a camera, choosing a brand is like choosing a life partner, something that you are comfortable with. Simple. And that should last long. So that would be my answer.
So may I know what you work with?
So after Yashica, I moved to Nikon, and I've been a Nikonian ever since. So I'm so comfortable with the camera system that especially when I'm shooting concerts, I'm shooting in a completely dark environment. So I don't have the luxury of, checking the settings and this thing. So instinctively, my hand knows exactly where the controls are, right? So I'm so comfortable with that system. Hence, I stick to Nikon. That's one. Second is, it also depends on your taste. Like, I love street photography, so when I shoot, when I'm on the streets, I love capturing the colors as is. Nikon gives me that. Whereas if I were to be an editorial specialist or a wedding photographer, I would probably choose a Sony or a Canon because there's a certain hue that they produce. So I prefer something which is real and raw, and Nikon gives me that. So from that perspective, Nikon works for me.
Anybody, senior students there, please? PUC, yes. Yes, Chandagere, please. Yeah.
Sir, as a photographer with a unique...
Can you introduce yourself, please?
I am Sriram from 2nd PU, sir. So as a photographer with a unique career plan, sir, so what sets your career, your plan different from that of the other fields and also?
Okay. Here's the thing. If I am talking as a freelance photographer versus running an organization that I do today, I spend 80 to 85% of my time at the desk. I'll give you a reality. I rarely get to shoot. I'm sitting at the desk like any 9-to-5 job, running behind clients, doing business development, sending quotations, chasing payments, managing the team. That is the reality of a photographer or a freelancer, even if you're a freelancer, right? So if you want to take up photography or any creative field full time, it's no different from a 9-to-5 job. So let's make it very clear. You might see all the reels, you might see all the videos on Instagram and YouTube saying all this, leading this wonderful travel and all that. That's a illusion that we love to create. That's not the reality. The reality is otherwise. So if you seriously want to take up a creative profession, it is very hard, it's very competitive, and not many people understand the business side of it. Right? So that's a similarity. The difference is that being in a creative field as a photographer, as a filmmaker, or a musician, or a dancer, you get to give back to people in a different way. During the pandemic, when we were all locked in the 4 walls, we would look forward for those YouTube lives by artists, by musicians, by storytellers, right? When we were battling that depression during the pandemic, we had these people give us that sense of hope. So, as a creative professional, you have that power to give back to the society. I hope that answers.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I am Abhay from class 9. So my question to you is, in the world of photography, networking and client relationships are crucial. How have you gone about building a client base and establishing your brand?
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Sir, Abhay.
Abhay, brilliant question. I'm so thankful that you asked. You go back, I have a 10 terabyte server filled with images. Okay? And currently, we serve about 300 to 400 clients. We have served about 300 to 400 clients. You pick any client, and I can give you the connection as to how I got to know that. I'll give you an example. We were first invited to be the third bidder for Mindtree. This when they were doing the rebranding. Now, how did we get invited? A friend of mine referred me to the Mindtree team. Then we were competing with big agencies, and we managed to get that client. And over a period of time, the marketing team that was working with Mindtree, they moved to different companies. And they went ahead and they referred. And they referred, and they referred. And that's how the networking works. So networking is very, very key. Not just about knowing the right people, but being at the right time. Now, networking will get you clients, will open the door only to an extent. But it is your quality of work that you deliver with sincerity, with ethical values, with hard work, and bringing the creativity is what will keep you going. So, knowing people works, but delivering is what will make your client your brand ambassador, right? So, networking is very important. So I am always on the move. Like I said, I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. And I always have this innate thing that I keep thinking as how can I help that person? Not about me going and saying, I'm a photographer, here's the thing, this is what I do. No, I never go and pitch. I first try to understand what they do. When I understand what they do, then I'm able to deliver and connect to them better. So I don't know if this is a formula that works, but what has worked for me is I never do a hard sell. I never go and say, we are the greatest or this is what we do. I try to leave it to the last. If it works, it works. But I prefer to listen than to talk. So that's a thing that you have to keep in mind.
So and also, so you're kind of like saying we should know a background of a person before like...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Till date, every new client that I meet, I do a lot of background research. Background research in the sense, if I'm walking into a pharmaceutical company, I try to understand what is that they do. And that is a new learning for me. Like for example, when I say pharmaceutical, we work with Syngene, which is one of world's leading, it's a biocon company. When we walked into Syngene, I actually learned about the pharma industry. But working with them for the last 6 years, now I probably understand what they do better than what I did then. Knowing your client is very, very important.
Understanding how they think and how they process.
Yeah. Other thing is that you should also understand the brand, what they stand for, right? Like, we almost said no to a client because when we went to the pitch, they said, oh, our brand is young, vibrant, it's colorful. I said, brilliant. What is the visuals that you want? Oh, these are the visuals. I said, fantastic. I said, we can't do that. They're like, what? What do you mean you can't do that? I've seen your portfolio. You can do with your eyes shut. I said, yes, I can do that with my eyes shut. But what you're talking about is this beautiful desert with, the most exotic fruits and ice cream scoops and colors and this. But your visual that you're talking about is plain vanilla. There's a huge disconnect. I won't be able to sleep in the night because that you expect this, but this is what you're trying to communicate. And we said no and we walked out. A week later, they called us back and said, why? We spoke to all the agencies. Nobody said no.
but we want to know. And then we went ahead and said, this is how we understand what your brand stands for. And we've been with them, that is Mindtree. We've been with them for the last 10 years, and I'm proud to say this. The ownership of the company changed from Mindtree. The founders moved out, Subrato, KK, Partha, Rosto. They moved out, and L&T Infotech took over Mindtree. And the founders have moved out. The new team has come in. But as a visual partner, we still continue to be there with them. That's the power of understanding a brand.
Thank you, sir.
So we will take one more question. Yes, please.
Sir, I'm Parikshit from 2nd PUC. So I just wanted to ask you to share some of your interactions with various people you've met throughout your career.
I think I answered that, no? Anyone in specific that you want to know?
Let's say A.R. Rahman.
So, A.R. Rahman, did I really get a chance to talk to him? Very briefly. Very, very briefly. But this was during his concert in Bangalore, right? So, the day before the concert, the dry runs are happening. It's about 11:30 in the night in Palace Grounds. And all the stage is set, the light is set. Rahman walks in, and the practice is going on. The lead female singer is not getting the tone right. He's standing in the sound booth and he says, "Thoda aur, ye kam karo, wo karo." And she's constantly failing, and she can see that she's nervous. Not once did he lose his cool. Finally, after about 7 or 8 attempts, he goes onto the stage. He says, "Shut all the lights. Let's you and me sing." And she nails it. And you know what the problem was? It was not that she was not trained. The problem was the spotlight was straight into her face, which was distracting her. And the minute he killed the light, she changed. So that was something that I learned that day, was not as a musician, but as a leader, how he got his team to be comfortable and trying to get to the root of the problem. It was not the music, it was something external, right? The second thing that I observed, so the first set of his concert is full energy, like, with blasts of lights and high tone, high pitch. The people are jumping all over the stage. He's in a different zone. The second set is where he gets into the Sufi part of the music. Now, typically, you would expect that the artist would run, go inside, change the dress, put the, costumes. The entire team of musicians who were performing, there was an act happening. There was some people singing on stage, where the people who were performing the Sufi music were actually all sitting in a room. All right? You had people from every religion in that room. Hindu, Muslim, Christians, everyone, right? All of them in unity were sitting and doing namaz. That is the power of music. It doesn't matter what religion you come from, what caste you come from, where you come from, it unites you. They were all sitting in deep prayer. Without a word being said, they just got up and they went onto the stage and they started singing Sufi songs, which was heavenly. And that came not from here, but from deep within. And that's the power of music. That's the power of putting all your differences aside and getting united. So that was something which I thought was phenomenal. And at the end of the concert, when everything was done, he was walking away, and I just said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. He said, he just does this, and he walks off. Any other celebrity would be like, humne ye kiya hai, wo kiya, but no. He is as grounded, as down to earth as you read, as you listen. He's as simple as his music. So that was one experience that I think.
Mayur, there's one question which I had asked earlier regarding the AI.
Oh, yes.
Thing. Could you just briefly?
Briefly.
Yeah.
So it's a hot topic, right? Artificial intelligence, it's going to take over the world, it's going to take over the jobs. I believe it will not, for a very simple reason. Let me give you a bit of trivia. Let's go back in history. We had painters, we had artists who would paint, and when photography as a medium came, they said all artists are dead, they're gone. But then, many of them died, but the ones who really survived, apart from the niche artists, were those who adopted a medium called photography and brought in the creativity to this tool called camera. Then, after photography came moving pictures. Then they said, oh, photography is dead. The same principles of what applied to photography and art were applied to cinema. Today, we have AI. AI is a tool. Artificial intelligence, like be it ChatGPT, Midjourney, whatever, in the creative field, is a mere tool which will help you to be more efficient, giving you the freedom to be more creative. I use AI. I use that every day, not just to write, but if I were to write a script, it would probably take a week to write a story, trying to understand what we want to project. But today that same work gets done in an hour or two. Simple. So I have an idea. Earlier I was sharing this with Swamiji. I have an idea. I use voice to text, the tool in the phone where I narrate, take that text, put it into ChatGPT to clean up the language, and with the right prompts, I use ChatGPT to say, I want a script where the opening scene, this is how I visualize the opening scene, this is how the mid is going to happen, this is how the character is going to come. I put in my inputs, then ChatGPT is going to give me a script. I take that, and there are various tools where I put that and say, okay, give me a storyboard now. With stock images, it's going to put out a storyboard. Now, if I were to explain or describe a story to a client, I will have to use my verbal skills and visualization to do that. Now, AI is able to translate my vision quickly, and I'm able to sell that to the client faster. So, there are going to be tools. But what is the input? The input is the human creativity, ingenuity that you have. Only then can AI create something. So artificial intelligence is going to be there, it is going to evolve, but it is up to us to give the right inputs to use it. Not just in the creative field. Photography is not dead. Trust me. I can, if I want to do a product photography, yes, I can use AI and say, change the background, do this, this, this. But if I were to talk about Vidyashala, if I were to tell a story about our school, can I tell AI to say, go and take a picture? No, you still need to be there to capture those emotions, capture those moments. So photography or filmmaking as a career is going to be challenging, but the creative minds are the ones who are going to survive, and it is you who needs to bring in that creativity and help and use AI tools as a tool. So I hope that answers the question. Awesome. I just want to end this session with something which, when I told a friend of mine that, hey, you know what, I'm going to Vidyashala to give a talk. he called and he said, Macha, life comes a full circle. He said, why? One, academically, I was never brilliant. You can talk to any of the Swamiji's teachers who were there at that point. I was never brilliant academically. With great difficulty, I just about managed to scrape through my 10th. But I had teachers like SVR sir, HGA sir, so many of them who believed that I had the capability. And they helped me. Mind you, a guy who was barely able to pass managed to get 95% marks in maths in my 10th. And when Swamiji called and said, when I got the marks, those were the days we didn't have mobiles. We had to go to an STD booth, call. I called 4 times, and finally Swamiji said, why don't you just come here and check your own marks? Because I couldn't believe, because I had teachers who believed in me. Second and foremost, other thing I want to say is, there is going to be a lot of expectations from all of us, saying, take the stream, do this, be a doctor, be an engineer, be whatever. But ultimately, follow your heart. I don't know if this is the right forum to say this, but marks are just an indicator of how you're doing. It's just a measure. It's not the end of all. Whatever you do it with your heart, do it with your passion, and trust me, at the age of 47 today, I still don't know what I'm going to do next. Yes, I'm a photographer, I'm running this agency. Tomorrow I might want to do something different. So you will never find your answers today. Just trust in your gut and follow your heart. And it's been a great honor to be back at Vidyashala and share my journey. And it's all started here with the discipline, though we all hated it when we were here, getting up at 6 in the morning and going through the whole cycle, but that has defined us who we are. So I'm ever grateful to everyone at Vidyashala for molding us to the people that we are today. Thank you.
It was a wonderful session. Thank you, sir. Sir told us about what makes one a serious photographer or a snapper. And he also explained the importance of creation of content or image. And also told us about capturing is different from snapping. He also explained us about the zen of photography. And also told us about the science's role in our daily lives and also in photography. Sir also explained about the importance of choosing the right equipment for the right occasion in terms of photography, and also explained his journey from Yashica to Nikon. I would thank Swamiji for organizing this event, and thank you again, sir. It was a wonderful session. I thank Prasanna sir for accompanying us today, and I would request Yukteshananda Swamiji to come on stage and present sir a token of appreciation. I would like to thank the Media Lab volunteers, the Computer Science Department volunteers, and the Manual Work people for helping us in the event. And lastly, I would like to thank all of the students who are seated here. Okay. Yes, I'm done.
Okay. One very important thing that I forgot to mention. So
during your summer holidays, if you guys want to intern and learn, you're most welcome to come and work at AGNA with us, right? Whether you want to learn about not just photography, filmmaking, podcasts, creating, running a business, as simple as that, which might not be related. If at all you want to learn, you're most welcome to come and intern with us for a while. Second thing is, Swamiji will share my email ID with you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a line. And I'm not very good at answering immediately, but I will definitely reply to your emails. And I would love to stay in touch with all of you. Yeah. Thank you.
Now let us end the program with Shanti Mantra.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।